I mean, he's like a runaway buffalo, isn't he? You don't stop him from that distance. Here he comes, sniping away. The baby-faced assassin. Again. Nakarawa! Samoa, there's that grubber again. Here we go. Now Williams lost it back to Priya. Here we go.
Welcome back, everyone. Super happy. Episode 5 with Jordan and Brianne here from the Calgary Canadian Irish Athletic Club, all the way up in the north, all the way up there. So super happy to have you guys. Thanks for joining us. Really excited to learn a little bit more about the Irish and just your positions in it. So we'll dive straight in. We'll start ladies first, as always, because we're always gentlemen. Brianne, do you want to walk us through a little bit of your kind of background in rugby, background at the Irish in general? Just kind of introduce yourself to everybody.
Sounds good. Yeah, so my name is Brianne Morgan. I've been playing rugby for a really long time. I had an older brother who played. That's how I got introduced to the sport. So I grew up in Manitoba, and after high school still wanted to play rugby, so moved out to Calgary, played for the Dinos for 6-ish years. And while I was student athlete there, I had some friends that convinced me to come play for the Irish, and honestly, I've never looked back. So yeah, that's kind of how I got introduced to the club here in Calgary, and yeah, it's been a blast ever since.
The Northwest connection, technically. Yeah, it's pretty
Yes.
sweet.
Yeah.
I love it. Jordan, do you want to take us through a little bit of your kind of background in rugby and what that looks like?
Yeah. So hi, everybody. I'm Jordan Zaboya, and I started playing rugby in about 2004 for my high school. I'm from High River, so south of town. And through that, met a friend, and he played for the Irish. So I started playing with them that summer, and that was a great experience. So I continued that, and then I actually went and played out on the coast for 4 years for Oak Bay for the Castaway Wanderers, and played year-round rugby for 4 years, which was pretty awesome. And when I moved back to Calgary, continued playing senior until about 2017, I think, and just had to stop playing. Head couldn't take it anymore, right? So since then, I took a break. I was away from the club for a while, but now I'm back in coaching and on the board. And Brianne's been coaching for a while too, right?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I've been helping out. Like, I got injured this last season, so I've been working with the practices with like U16, U18 girls, and doing some Wolfpack coaching as well. So it's nice to see some of our Irish girls make provincial squads, regional squads, and show them what the Irish are made of. That's
awesome. It's great to see, obviously, Jordan, you touched on it there, Brianne as well. Obviously, just because you're injured or you step away from the game, it's awesome that both of you guys have committed back to coaching, given back to the sport. I think we forget sometimes it has a draw. It usually has its claws in you a little bit, and it always brings you back at some point. And it's great to see both of you there. So, Brianne, you're doing a bit of coaching with the juniors, the U16, U18s. Are you, obviously you're injured just now, but you still play with the seniors when you're obviously fit?
Yeah, absolutely.
Perfect.
So still playing, still trying to kick around with all the young ones that are coming in, and yeah.
That's really exciting. So we'll kind of segue into that a little bit, and we'll continue talking about, obviously the women's and the junior women's programs that you guys have at the Irish, and then we'll flip over to Jordan and we'll talk a little bit maybe about the junior boys and senior men, and just see how we go. But Brian, you want to take us through a little bit? We'll start with senior women because obviously you're playing there. But what does the Irish offer for senior women programs?
So we have recently, due to our success with our Div 1 squad, we got bumped up into the premiership here in Alberta. And so with that, we found a little bit of a transition with having almost too many numbers for one team, but not enough for two. So we do offer a Prem team, and then we're also offering a Div 1 team that, depending on our numbers, we might what's the word I'm looking for? Join with like another club. Last year we joined with the Hornets women's, and honestly, I've heard nothing but good things from the girls that played both or played primarily with the Div 1 squad. So it's awesome to have that opportunity for different personalities, different stages of their life, of the game, for them to still be able to play and represent the Irish.
100%. And that's kind of nice in the sense that you were able to join with another club and get games of rugby in, and have girls or young women playing rugby consistently. That's awesome. What about the juniors there for the girls? What kind of programming do you guys offer at the Irish for the girls? You obviously touched on U16, U18, but what else do you guys offer? Anything younger than U16?
Yeah, so U7, U9 is obviously mixed, U11 as well, and then U13. We are seeing some numbers in the U13 and U15 as well. Sometimes, as I say, they're going to join with another club to make a team, but there's definitely opportunities for girls to be playing rugby and represent.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And if there was any young, young aspiring girls or ladies that were looking to connect with, let's say, the VP Women or the club in general, how would they do that, Brianne?
Right now, I'd say like our Instagram page is probably really effective. We do have a juniors Instagram. So it's CCIAC juniors, and then Calgary Irish are the two go-tos.
Right, sweet. Yeah, social media is the new driving force, isn't it, for everybody to contact you? If there was someone who might not be quite technically social in the sense of using Instagram, is there an email or a website or kind of an older school method of contact to reach out to the club?
Yeah, so you can definitely just Google Calgary Irish Rugby, and that will take you to our website. And now you're putting me on the spot for contacting people.
We can come back. We'll dive over.
Yeah, just a teamwork here, but info@calgaryirish.com is probably the best email to reach over to right now. And then we'll get back to you through that email and with information, and we'd be glad if anybody contacted us that way. So.
And that would be the same for both. We're going to dive into the men here, John, but that would be the same for both.
Yeah, that would be the same for both. Yeah.
Perfect. I love a nice, simple email address.
Yeah.
Perfect. We're set. So let's dive in, Jordan. Senior. So we can start with senior men or juniors, whatever you're comfortable with. But give us an idea of what programs you're offering the community on the men's side.
So the men's side, as Bree mentioned, we have all the age grades. And we have had quite a good year with the junior men. Like we've had quite a few of them on the Mavericks team, as probably you've seen. They're playing pretty well. I know both of you guys are up in Edmonton, so I'm glad to see a bunch of CCIAC guys up there and girls as well. I want to mention our U16 team last year was just killer. Like I think their points differential or something was like 400 points or something like that. So Sheep and coaches Sheep and Anthony are doing quite well with that team. And to highlight them as well, they are going to be doing a tour at the end of the summer. So they're preparing for that and fundraising for that. So if people do go to our Instagram, and especially our junior Instagram, they'll see certain raffles and things like that to support that tour, which I'm really excited to see them going. I think touring, especially in rugby, you know what? Here's the thing. I've never been on a proper rugby tour. Like I've traveled with rugby friends, but I've never been on a proper rugby tour. So for them to get that experience at a young age, I think is super awesome. But yeah, so for the boys, we're going all the way out, all the age grades. And then and the men's were playing in Div 3 and Div 2. So our goal is to get back to the top. Like that's what we're working towards. And we have a group of guys that are young, good players, and they're trying really hard. And if we can get them successful in the second division and grow a team around them, our idea is to move back to first division, say in the next 2 or 3 years. Our goal is back to the top in 5. Hopefully we can get up there before that. We were there as a club before, right? Like, everyone hated the Irish, quote unquote. We were really successful in our past. And this is way before I joined the club. I think the last championship we won was 2004, I think. Yeah, in first div. So like it's been quite a while, right? So, but obviously we have that history and we want to embrace that history of excellence and get back there. So, for guys that want to come, and we're obviously not playing in first div yet, and people that want to play in first div, I totally understand wanting to play for a club that's there. But if you want to come to a club and help us build back to first division and grow with the team, I think it's a great opportunity to do that, to grow your skills with a bunch of guys, or even if you're older, come and mentor and come and help pull these guys up back to a good standard. I'm not saying it's back to a Div 1 standard is what I'm saying there. So we want to be back there, and that's our goal. So.
The key statement, Jordan, is always age is only a number. If you've got a little bit left in the tank, come help mentor. If you're a younger guy that's looking to grow, perfect opportunity there. I wanted to touch on, because you kind of mentioned it, but kind of glossed over it. You guys had a really successful season last year, and you went really well, and that was at second division. So you're pretty close to that back to AC in 5 years is taking some shape in the grand scheme of things. You were I don't know, you were kind of very subtle about how good that second division team is you have right now. And
we lost a lot of games by about 4 or 5 points, right? So like that was the killer, right, for us. But we did come through with the third division championship. I didn't mention there. Winning city finals for the thirds was awesome. Like to get some hardware for the men's side of the club has been really appreciated. Unfortunately, we weren't able to pull it through in provincials. Clan were some very tough opposition. The game could have gone either way. They played a wonderful game. I think if we turned up the way that we turned up for the city final, it would have gone our way. But hey, you can't. Not every day is going to go your way, right? So that's
that travel. That travel also adds an element, doesn't it? When you guys headed to Edmonton, the bus, the time, all that stuff plays in when you're not used to doing it. And for the third division guys, they wouldn't have been traveling to Edmonton really at all throughout the season. So it's an adventure. It's like a mini tour, I guess, in some senses. Yeah. But to touch on the young ladies that are going to Ireland on tour, it's a rally up raffle that's obviously trying to raise funds to help them go to Ireland. I mean, that's a once in a, well, not maybe not once in a lifetime, but it certainly will create memories for a lifetime. You kind of touched on not being able to go on a tour just yet. Still a spring chicken, Jordan. Plenty of tours to go on as a coach.
Oh yeah, totally.
Kind of really exciting that those guys are getting the opportunity.
Coach though is different than going as a player. That's the big thing.
Yeah. Especially if you're taking juniors, right?
Juniors, different story for sure. Done both as a player and a coach, and they both have their elements of fun. Slightly more responsibility as a coach, but still a lot of fun. Let's put it that way.
Oh yeah.
Always good times. Well, that's exciting. So let's dive into, obviously location for all of us, we know where the Irish are. You guys are very, very lucky to be the second clubhouse in the city, outside of the Calgary Rugby Union. And that's really exciting. You guys have a great facility. Let's kind of touch on the facility, where it is, and how, what that kind of adds to what the Irish offer.
I'll go. So yeah, we're very fortunate. I think Zaboya mentioned that we do have 2 full rugby fields. Oh no, that was previously, but we do have 2 rugby fields, and we have our clubhouse in the northeast. We're off of McKnight, just south of the airport. So there's tons of practices where we have airplanes flying over us. And sorry, what did you say, Coach? Moments, which is kind of funny. But yeah, I think like the nice part about having our clubhouse is we do get to have off-season type events like Christmas Eve. We always have everybody come out to the clubhouse for some holiday drinks, beverages. We get to host trivia nights. We have Halloween parties for our minis and juniors. Movie nights as well we've started doing. So yeah, we're very fortunate to have that kind of opportunity for ourselves.
The movie night was the one that propped up not so long ago, and I was like, that's a great idea. So anybody that doesn't follow you guys on social media should definitely start soon, because some of the movie options were fantastic.
Yeah. What I'd love to get back to too is we used to have Halloween parties like 2015, 2016, 2017, and they were bangers. So if we can get our social committee back to hosting those again and make that, I'd love to make that a rugby wide event, because we always love having other members of other clubs visiting and enjoying our events as well, right? So yeah. And
definitely I'll speak for myself, but nobody else. It's the Irish has always held a little spot in my heart for having a great time. Obviously always very welcome. Obviously you can get beer, some food, and then everybody, obviously treats you like family. So definitely, until you're on the field, obviously that's a different story. But off field, it's definitely a family environment. So it definitely holds a little spot in my heart. Nothing to do with Rosie moving there, but in general, it's a great spot.
Yeah, totally.
Well, we're on talking about the clubhouse, obviously just off McKnight. Great location in the sense of it's directly off Deerfoot. But let's dive into a little bit of the history of the club. Like, how long's the Irish been around? Like, what kind of, do you know who founded it, or any of that kind of information?
Yeah. So we were founded in 1971 by Jim Sullivan and Derek Wright. Derek was a coach for us for many years, and I think he coached at the Alberta level as well and played at the Alberta level. And we also it was established with to promote Canadian Irish values. Although everyone's welcome, we're not specifically an Irish club. We're not saying, how can I say this? We're not specifically an Irish club, even though Irish is our name. We're obviously open to everybody. We also had a field hockey component as well. So there was men playing rugby at that time and women's field hockey. Since then, the field hockey has moved away, and we obviously have women's teams now as well. Over time, I think, when did we get our pitch? We got our pitch in '93. So thinking of the history of our club, I mean, I was 3 years old, so that's that's a long time ago, and we've been able to maintain the field through then. So obviously, we've been through some ups and downs. Finance wise, I think there was a point, 15, 20 years ago where the club almost folded. And our current executive, who've stuck on for a long time, brought us out of that debt. It's Mark McRoberts and Ron Lockhart, Kev Alsop. These guys have, they brought us out of debt and got the club in a stable financial position. And now we have a great base to move forward and keep growing again. I would say COVID was a really rough time. I know the men's program almost folded. I don't know what happened with the women's program at that time. Maybe Bree can tell at that time. But since then, it's been very much a rebuild since that time. And I think we saw rugby numbers go down, say, since 2015, 2016, across the board. Irish very much in that, hey, that's when I stopped playing as well, right? But we're starting to rebound and we're starting to grow again. So there's a lot of positivity there, especially from me. Like Bree, how did the women's program do through COVID?
That's kind of when I thought I was going to be fully retiring, to be honest. So
Yeah.
I also took a step back at COVID. I know we did have that one season where they were kind of trying to make their works through COVID, where we did have an Irish team that tried to keep kicking around. And I think it was Sophia Bersoni who really kind of kept girls in touch. We created this big group chat. I got put in it. And then it's kind of kept those girls coming back ever since. So we did have a little bit of a fall from COVID, but we've definitely grown a lot since.
Yeah, and I want to do a special shout out to Kyle Kime, senior men's player. He really kept the team together. He was the one sending the notes, texting everybody, saying, "Hey, are we going to do this?" And was able to get a squad going for that. And I think that, to be honest with you, part of what saved the men's program. So yeah, that's where we're at now, right? So
it's in times like that where you notice your quiet leaders. Like, you've kind of mentioned, I didn't catch the name, Brianne, but the lady that created the chat, got everybody engaged again. That's the starting point. Jordan, you said there, Kyle just started a conversation and started asking guys if they're coming back to play. Somebody in the grand scheme of things doesn't always have to be the coach or the VP men. It sometimes takes a village to get the interest up, and then everybody can start to get the train, obviously get the train moving again. So that's really exciting. You guys have a couple of really good leaders there that are obviously still involved today, and helping you drive obviously into the future with especially for the men and the 5-and-5, and then obviously, like you said, Bree, the women represent the Prem level. That's the top level in the women's game in Alberta. So I mean, you can't get much higher, and you can't get any higher. So that's really exciting. You guys are representing there, and then obviously the men trying to get back. Let's dive into, obviously we talked about people being able to connect with the club, but let's dive into what you guys are doing for pre-season and what that looks like, and potentially how people might sign up to come and join you, or where they need to go, etc., etc. So we'll start. Maybe we'll go to Jordan first, and then we'll unless it's the same, we'll dive over to Brianne.
It's the same. So men and women practice
Perfect.
together. Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah. So we've got two things going on right now. We've had the Monday night touch going throughout the winter, which has been super fun, and that's at where is that? GP Vanier. Does that sound correct, Bree?
George P. Vanier. Yeah.
Yeah, George P. Vanier School, and that starts at 8 o'clock on Mondays, and that's a lot of fun. Just 8:50, 8 o'clock. Though we're trying to go a bit earlier, but that's a lot of fun. Super casual. Drop in. You don't need to sign up or anything. We just want to have you in and have a good time. And our preseason is started on Wednesdays at Calgary Sportplex. at 6:30 for the seniors. And we're just, you know what, we're starting, as you do and have to do in Alberta Rugby, we're starting from the ground up. We're starting with passing, a lot of fitness, because fitness is way more fun. Rugby's way more fun when you're fit. Don't want to scare anybody away, but I think these are the great foundational sessions to get the season going. So
that's exciting. Couple of sessions a week. Obviously, your Monday sessions, bit of touch at the school there, open to anybody. Wednesdays, they're open to anybody as well.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And that information's obviously on Instagram. But if you did have any doubts, you could reach out to your email address. Bree, did you have something to add there?
I know that we talked about like the seniors start at 6:30, but any of our minis and juniors programs start at 5:30. That's what I was going to add. So 5:30 to 6:30 is the young ones, and then 6:30 to 8 or 7:30 is us.
So that 5:30 slot, Bree, just to confirm, when we talk about juniors, are we talking about like U15, U13, U18 kind of players, or are we talking about all the way down to U7?
U5 even, all the way to U16 kind of thing. Most of our U18s will jump in with our senior program.
Yeah. Okay.
So they have the option to do both if they want.
That's perfect. I mean, literally, if, obviously going all the way down to U5 is sometimes the challenge, and some clubs, decide to do it slightly differently. So that's awesome that you guys, Wednesday nights, 5:30, U5, all the way through the kind of U15, U16, you can rock out, get some training in, do some pre-season. That's awesome. And for that, is that for registered members from last year, or is that just open, come try rugby type idea?
It's open, come try rugby idea. We're not doing any contact or anything. So we just want to have everybody out, just getting the ball skills in and training, and get an idea of who we are and see if they like our culture a bit, so.
Yeah, going through the fundamentals, which is fantastic. And, as much as you kind of said their fitness and passing are the two things you're working on. Yeah. Those are the two things that we usually mess up the most, Jordan. So as players, that's awesome to hear. Not awesome to hear about the fitness stuff, but I'm sure people can get over it when they start playing some games again.
Oh yeah, totally. So yeah.
Love it. All righty. Anything else you guys want to add generically about the Irish?
We do have a couple events coming up.
Love it.
We have our trivia night on February 8th at the Irish. So teams of 4 to 6 players. Doors open at 5:30. $10 per player, and then there's a prize for the winning team. So awesome. That is trivia night, Saturday, February 8th.
Yeah, perfect. Good way to socialize as well with the club and meet some of the players outside of training as such. I'm sure there'll be a bunch of players there and coaches and all that jazz.
Yeah, you don't even have to be a player or coach. Anybody's welcome to that one.
Yep. Family. I love it. Make your team, bring mum, dad, and brother or sister along, and there you go, you've got a team.
Yeah. And the bar will be open too. So if you're not winning at the trivia, you can always win at the bar,
But I guess to add on to Bree, we have another event too. We have an annual St. Patrick's Day touch tournament, and that's going to be on the 15th of March. It's pretty casual. I don't know the format right now. Sometimes it's 7s, sometimes it's 10s. Sometimes we have to scrape the fields off. But again, come out for a run. It's a lot of fun. Put a team in. Usually we'll get representation from other clubs too, which is great. I've ran that tournament, 10 years ago, but it was always been a lot of fun. And, have a few drinks at the bar and celebrate St. Paddy's Day. One other thing I do want to mention, though, is that we are in the process of searching for a rugby development officer. So we have got the funds together to have a salaried development officer at our club. And this is the kind of gist of what this person will do, is that they'll interface with the schools and elementary schools and middle schools around the area and promote rugby within them. So do sessions at those schools, and also be a center point of rugby at our club to give direction and push our rugby forward. We're just in the process of posting the applications and the job description right now. We probably see it. We'll probably post it everywhere we can in the rugby community. It'll be on our Instagram as well. But yeah, if anyone's listening to this podcast and you're into sport development and you have a passion for the game, this could be a position for you. I encourage you to read the job description and apply, because it'd be good. You'd be help grow our game and help grow the Irish. Bree, would you have any comments around that or anything I missed?
No, I think just it's a great opportunity if you love rugby and not too sure what you're wanting to look at doing next. It's kind of gets your foot in the door and you get to do something that you're passionate about. I'm very fortunate that I work in the rugby world, and yeah, it's so rewarding to see kids that you have made an impact with in a school or built a relationship, a connection with at a school, a community event, whatever it might be, and then them finding you at the rugby field saying, you taught me this, and now look where I'm at. So there was even girls that I did school visits with, convinced them to play for their high school team. Then they came and played for the Irish. And they'd be practicing and I'd be practicing, and after like, Coach Bree, and run over and give me a hug. And two of those girls actually made like the women's ARC like Maverick squad. So it's really kind of that rewarding piece that you get to have behind the scenes.
It's quite refreshing, isn't it? As a we forget sometimes that when we play, the satisfaction of winning gives you a certain kind of, it releases a certain feeling in your body. But you get the same thing when you, as a coach, when you get that feedback and you get to see kids growing and you get to, hear from them firsthand that you helped them develop. And that's really exciting, Bree. So well done. And, congrats on, kind of driving that forward. I mean, I know it's part of your role, but at the end of the day, that's a personal connection as well and relationship building. So fantastic. I love that.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, and I know we've been. Just want to comment. I know we've been giving Rosie a lot of crap on this podcast, but he's the one that's really pushing initiative within the club. He's been a big force in the club building and wanting to grow and build our club forward. So we've got to give him at least a little bit of a shout out.
We do love him. I mean, we do love him. He's just a big goofball sometimes.
Oh yeah, totally.
It's just the standard. Anyway, we've given him his kudos. That we can give him a cuddle later.
Yeah.
I guess that leaves us with, we usually wrap up with our type 5, which is a couple of questions that we're just going to spitfire through. Before we dive into the type 5, I'll just touch on, Jason normally joins us. Obviously, he sends his apologies. He's back in Australia at the moment, but he'll be back for the next episode, and super excited that we could connect with the Irish here and, obviously learn a little bit more about what the club's offering. So let's dive into the type 5, and we'll start off with a really easy one, and we'll go to Brianne first. Favorite country that you have visited for rugby or just personally? What's your favorite country?
I think Wales was really fun. Unlike Zaboya, I have gone on a couple of rugby tours. So I've gone to Wales and Ireland was the first one, and then England and France was the other one. But when we were in Wales, we got to watch a Six Nations game in Cardiff, and the atmosphere there was unreal. So, yeah, so much fun. I would love to go back and do it again.
It's one stadium that always gets massive kudos. It's Cardiff.
Yeah.
Jordan, what about you?
My favorite, rugby country has got to be France. Close friend from the Irish moved over there. And I visited a few times and actually went to the Rugby World Cup a couple of years ago, and that was just an amazing experience. And I've seen how many games? I've seen a couple games in the Stade de France now, and it's just unreal. It's like oh, this is rugby. And then being down in Toulouse and Lyon, seeing games there, and just seeing the atmosphere. Those are some really cherished memories of mine. Yeah. So yeah, France, I say, and they're good. I think they'll do well in the Six Nations. So we'll see, eh? So
no comment.
Yeah, totally. Eh?
European. You guys have obviously chose two European countries as such, and it's impressive how rugby is so different in France versus Wales versus England. Versus, even looking at Scotland or Ireland or any of those countries, rugby is just so, it's just like a mainstream sport there, and people know the faces that are playing, and we're kind of growing towards that here in Canada. The women's team are doing incredible to make their faces names. We've had a couple of younger local legends on, and one of them brought up Fancy Bermuda. Was her her favorite rugby player, which we're going to get to with you guys. But that was really impressive that a Canadian, actually multiple Canadians have made that list on the women's side. We've yet to have a Canadian man just yet. ETH was close, but we went a different direction. But that being said, let's dive into it then. Favorite rugby player? And you can have more than one if you want to. If it's if you want to have a local legend of a rugby player and an international rugby player as such, if you've played with someone that you love playing with, you're more than welcome to bring them up as well, because it is a local legend segment.
Do you want to go first, Jordan?
I mean, I've got a lot. How much can I say this? Let's say favorite Canadian player who I've been watching. She plays for the Chiefs. Is Alexandra Tessier. Like, God, she can play, and like, God, that's such a talent. And it's so proud to see Canadians like tearing it up in a professional league in the Premiership. Favorite, like, say, international player, Tag Furlong. You gotta love, a front row player, especially Irish front row players. They seem to have a bit of panache about them, the way they play the game, the way they approach it. I would say favorite overall player, but this is going to be like bad, is Dupont, of course. Like, he's so talented. It's just every time I watch him play, he blows my mind. Like, he makes 3 tackles in a row, forces the knock on, and then just sets up the next try. Like, I can't get enough of watching that guy. So I'm excited to see this upcoming Six Nations. So yeah,
he is incredible. I would normally give you some abuse for that, but he is an incredible rugby player.
Oh yeah.
So I'll do my international first. So mine would probably be Portia Woodman. Just such a beast out there. Love watching her play both 7s and 15s. So she would be my international. And then I gotta show some love for some past teammates, past opponents. So Dalika Menon, Emily Tatosi, and of course Julia Omakwale too, who is also an Irish alumni. So Julia and I got really close one year when we got to coach together, and yeah, I actually got to watch all 3 play at the WXV in Vancouver, which was really exciting.
That's awesome. It's nice when it's that close to home, like 100%. WXV. Yeah, we were lucky enough to have Emily joined us on a podcast just before or during the WXV. So we got to talk to her a little bit about how that was and whatever. So if you go back, you can listen to Emily's podcast there, Brianna, and that was quite exciting. It is from a few months ago, obviously, but it was good. Yeah. It was a good conversation. Great. Jesus, 3 Canadian women, strong women as well. 4 in the case of Jordan bringing it up. That's awesome. Let's dive into your favourite position on a rugby field. Now, it doesn't have to be the one that you played. It could be what's your favourite rugby position? What do you wish? Where do you think you could play? Jordan, if you say standoff, we're going to be having a conversation.
I've been doing my hair though. No, I mean, I would say this. I always played front row, and I tried to be a hooker, and I had way more fun playing prop. And playing number 1, playing loose head prop against you, Vinny, which hurt. But you're a good scrummer. But that's the most. I love that. I loved it, and I think I guess some guys say some certain backs crap on front row players, but it's such an integral position and such a lot of grunt work and fun that I would have never wanted to play anywhere else, to be honest with you guys. So that's for me. So
I love it. Front row love. You made me proud, Jordan. Well done.
Yeah.
What about you, Brianne?
Yeah, I've never seen the front row, and I don't know if I'll get to that day before I retire. We'll see.
Seven's front row. That counts.
Yeah. Seven's front row. I've definitely seen that there. I really loved playing outside center, but I can also be a little scrappy 9 too. So I'm kind of like that 13, 9, 12, 10 type avenue. Like, I like to be the decision maker. I have fun there. Love the contact back there. So that's kind of my favorite roles.
Something to be said about 13 being a really hard position to play, but also having the ability to be a utility back is massive in the grand. If you look at it, being able to play 9, 10, 12, 13, that's really impressive. And the fact that you enjoy playing all of them is even more impressive, because Jordan and I can both play 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
But I don't think we would tell you we enjoy all of them. Some of them have different challenges, we'll say.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, I love it. Well, that's exciting. Jordan, I thought you were going to throw a spanner in there. I thought you were going to say, scrum half or standoff or something.
I belong on the wing, man. Like when I play touchdown, I stand at the side, right? And I yell mismatch.
If I had
Those are
any there,
against
I would
me,
take
that's
my
why.
Oh, the joys. And he would only do that in touch, though, Brianne, because in contact, you'd probably have the best of them.
I got the lower stature, so get them right at the knees.
That's it. You just got to chop them. The old speed bump tackle, perfect. We don't need anything else.
That's how I used to
remember
try and tackle you, Vinny. Getting the spokes, man.
Yeah. I remember a coach saying, if you're ever in doubt, you just jump in the spokes. And I was like, wow. And then we got a lot more technical over time, with obviously concussion being a big part of that. But there's a technique to sometimes just getting nice and low and getting in the spokes and just making sure that your head is in the perfect position, not in front of the knees.
Yeah.
It's an age-old turnaround.
Been caught there before.
Yeah. Me and you both, buddy. Me and you both. And it's not an enjoyable experience.
No.
We've got two questions left, but one kind of question and then one bit of advice. So the last kind of question we have is, favorite memory or success story in rugby for each of you.
I would say it would be the last full season I played was probably the most fun I ever had. We just had a great team, really focused group of guys, and we won a lot of games. We played a lot of really good rugby. And I've got a picture of that team up in my place now. It's you see those guys you played with, you'll always be friends with them. And we were pretty successful that year. I thought we could do it. I thought that would be the year we could actually go all the way and win the cup. But unfortunately, hey, that's life. It goes left and right sometimes. That's my favorite memory. I think I look back on that season and the friendships I developed and the rugby we played, and I can't forget it, and it'll always be in my mind. So, yeah.
Nice. Love a nice local one. What about you, Brie?
I think for myself, one of the first years that we won Can West with the Dinos, that was a big one for me, and the squad there. And then earning the bronze medal at Youth Sport Nationals was big there. But I think personally, some of my favorite memories have been the off-field memories. Yes, I love playing rugby, but I love building the connections, the relationships, the friendships that are gonna last a lifetime. The social events that you get to go to or don't get to, but you can be a part of. And some of those are my absolute favorites. So I would say there's a specific one. It's just kind of all blocked together.
It's a great way of putting it. Rugby is a very social sport, and the off-field part of it is a really big part of the involvement in the game, and you staying involved and obviously growing the sport requires people to be on the field, but also the off-field stuff, right? If people play and leave, they're not quite as committed or connected. Whereas if you enjoy the off-field stuff and you enjoy the company, which both of you have just kind of said, key success memories was the camaraderie and the players and the people around you, that's massive, right? That's awesome. So thanks for sharing. Those are, obviously those are great memories. The last one is really not a question, but part of our type 5 is what information or what advice would you give any up and coming rugby players or players new to the sport, or people that just haven't tried rugby yet? What advice would you give them? Let's start with we'll go Brianne first.
I think my biggest thing for people that have never tried is just try. Go for it. Don't worry that you're not going to be good at it. So many people find rugby at such a late stage in their life. that you don't have to start when you're 5, 6, 7 to be good at a sport. You can start it when you're 20, you can start it when you're 25, 30, 18, 16, whatever it is, and not to be intimidated. Like, as Jordan and I have both touched on, it's the command, like the friendships, all of that, the relationships that you build, and that's the fun part of it. And you might not be good at it, but people are going to take you under your wing. They're going to help you. They're going to teach you. And don't be scared to ask questions. There's so many people that are still learning the sport that might have played for 8, 9 years. They might have played higher level. And just with how the sport has been evolving, that there's no such thing as a stupid question. And if you're probably wondering it, probably other people are too. So ask the questions, get involved, and just try it.
You've sold me, Brie. Just sign me up. I'm in. Yeah, that was perfect. I love that. Jordan, do you think you can top that?
Well, this is going to be the hard line that I say to the players of my team, and I'll encourage anybody to join rugby, is you have to work out and you've got to get fit. I understand for the social side, it's a bit different, but if you want to compete, you can't just rely on training to get fit. And you got to exercise, you got to work out, you got to try and get bigger, because rugby is so much more fun when you can think on the field and you're not heaving the entire time or walking to the next scrum. If you want to compete at a higher level, fitness, I think, is one of the biggest keys to get there. And you got to take it upon yourself to commit and do it, and you will feel better. Like, I work out a lot now. I work out more now than I did when I played rugby, and which is hilarious, right? But I feel so much better, and it's easier to get out of bed, and a lot of, like, my head is clear, my days are better. I just encourage everyone to do that and embrace that healthy lifestyle, because it'll help you in rugby and it'll help you in life. So.
That's some good feedback. I mean, literally training is a massive part of all health and well-being in the grand scheme of things. So staying relatively fit, keeping yourself healthy, obviously adds to playing rugby at a good level. But at the same time, just try rugby is the kind of message that both of you kind of nailed there, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Well, on that note, that brings us to the end here. All I would like to do is thank both Brianne and Jordan for their time tonight and representing the Calgary Canadian Irish Athletic Club, or the Calgary Irish, as we like to shorten it to. But great information. Thanks for sharing. Really excited for the younger and older generations to hear this, and hopefully come out, try a bit of rugby with the Irish, and see if we can get you back to that AC level in 5 years. That would be really exciting.
Yeah, that's where we want to be. Thanks so much for having us on.
Yeah, thanks
you,
Vinny.
guys.